If it's a 90-degree corner, just pull the e-brake for a second, countersteer, and then hit the gas. For 180, which actually is a U-turn, you need to keep pulling for at least 1 second to let the tail slide. So practice and learn to get the feeling of what kind of speed, angle, and steering work is needed for various turns. I said practice, but you'll have so much fun, you won't feel like you're practicing at all. You'll have a lot of fun, I can guarantee that. Until you can do all of this with your eyes closed, you'll be spending a lot of your pocket money on tires. You know, if you can't afford new tires, just get some nice ones for the front and go to a scrapyard for the rear tires. Used tires from a scrapyard can be put to good use on a drift machine. After you practice with used tires and become better at drifting, well, let's say you can countersteer and kick the gas in towards the corner exit and drift properly once every 3 times. You're now ready to get some good tires on all 4 wheels. At this point, you should be wearing the same tires in the front and the back. With new tires, you're dealing with real grip. And here, maintenance is very important. If you are like me, and you love cars, you have to take good care of them, right? If you practice like this, with your e-brake all the way up here, if you leave it, you're out. Your e-brake should at least be like this. Sometimes there are guys going like this. I mean, you're not driving a train for crying out loud. So please, use some sense to maintain your car. I used to adjust my e-brakes once a month. Back then, the e-brake was all I had. At one time, I couldn't turn without it. I'm serious. And brake balance is also important. Racing cars have brake balance adjusters, but production cars don't. So we have to adjust brakes by changing the brake pads. Beginners tend to think that just changing the front pads can make some difference. But what a big mistake. It will make some changes, but it just messes up your balance. For instance, my front pads are Image C2, but if the rear pads were stock, only the front pads will work and mess up the balance. But again, there are preferences according to the driver. So another important thing is, don't just imitate the pros and simply install pads. You need to find the ones that suit your driving style. I like the linear feeling, but you might prefer ones that need hard braking to get it working, like the Super Sports brake pads. So, choose the right pads depending on your style and the front tire grip. Doing nothing to the rear won't get you anywhere. I assure you, you'll have a hard time in the corners. Say you're in a braking drift, and beginners often pull the e-brake, right? In that case, you need a decent pair of rear brake pads to get the rear tires to lock by pulling the e-brake. Plus, if you're wearing poor grip tires on the rear, it's easier to lock them with decent rear pads. When you become an intermediate drifter, you can now step on the gas when you're tail sliding, right? If you drift for 5 days a week like I used to, you need to overhaul your LSD once every month or so. This means if you go drifting once a week, you'd need an LSD overhaul at least once every 8 months or so. An LSD that needs an overhaul feels like a viscous LSD, and it's not fun at all. The car won't exit properly, and sometimes kills the drifting. You only end up with worn-out rear tires because the inner wheels keep spinning. It just ruins the fun of drifting. So make sure to overhaul your LSD and maintain your drift machine in healthy condition. You will have more fun on a well-maintained drift machine.
The Drift King. Tsuchiya says, I still want to get better. This is Tsuchiya's flat-out drift attack at Ebisu Circuit. When you can drift for show, then you're ready for the ultimate drifting style, the high-speed drift. The 6 techniques are still vital for this style of drifting, but now you're going fast. When speed and drift meet, you get the ultimate driving style. The high-speed drift is composed from small countersteering and velocity. High-speed drift needs braking delayed to the absolute limit, instant steering work, and all-out cornering exit skills. Every movement needs to be orchestrated precisely. Focus on the steering work as well. In high-speed drifts, tail sliding is controlled and limited, so countersteering work can be minimized. Wheel spins are limited also, making the car easier to grip and accelerate at the corner exit. Let's compare the high-speed drift and the show drift laps at Ebisu. Show drifts keeps drifting from the entrance to the exit. With the high-speed drifting, traction recovery is very quick, even during the counter-steering work. The steering angle is kept at a minimum as well. This is the ultimate style of drifting, high-speed drifting.
So, how did you like the BMI Special Edition Drift Bible? I hope I was able to show you the profound world of drifting. It's a driving technique and also a sport in its own category. When I first started drifting, I was having a ball just going sideways, but some people used to criticize my driving style and say that it wasn't real drifting because I was using the e-brake and shift locks. But I didn't care and I just kept at it. And at the same time, having a great time. As I've been saying all through this DVD, the 6 basic techniques are what make my drifting style possible. After mastering all 6 techniques, I found the dynamic drifting. To be specific,